Good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday, y'all. Again, glad to be here, glad to be in the land of the living, that's for sure. You hear me? So I'm just checking in with y'all. Just want to give you a little story, just to put some on your mind. So I'm up early, it's Saturday. Got this little side job. Going to play with some kids today. Do some respite care, as they call it. So anyway, I said that to say this. I would like to encourage, because that's what I'm here to do, encourage you all. Parents, teachers, anyone who deals with kids, hone in to the things that your children, or the children that you're responsible for, hone into the things that you see they gravitate to naturally, the things that they are doing well, the things that they have a genuine heart's desire to do, even at a young age. Because a lot of times those are precursors to what they will possibly be involved in the future, or things that they could possibly be involved in the future. Now, this is not my normal 9 to 5. You know, I do this as a 1099. Nevertheless, it's in the same family, it's in the same arena of what I do. It just provides me a little extra cash, and of course I like to spend it, so I go get it. So I said that to say this. Ever since I was young, you know, when I reflect back now, ever since I was young, I had a certain aspiration or a certain affinity for children, even though when I was younger I didn't want any of my own, right? But I still had an affinity for kids. I remember being young and just sitting out. I used to sit outside all the time, because outside was where everything was going on, especially in the neighborhood that my grandma lived in. So I always would give me a chair, sit on the side of, the sidewalk, or the end of the driveway. And a lot of times kids are coming home from school, stuff like that. So I got to know a lot of the kids coming up and down, walking past the house. And I remember one time there was this family of kids. The mom had multiple kids, and she wasn't that old. Of course, she's older than me at the time, because I was like in my late teens. So these kids, they would come back outside after they, coming from school, put their book bags and stuff up. They'll come play. And, I would ask them things about, hey, where y'all mama at? Have you ate? Stuff like that. Even at a young age, I had that motherly instinct that I just wanted to make sure the kids were straight. And I remember one time they were saying they were hungry, and I was like, darn. So I go in the house, tell my grandma, like, grandma, I need something. I need to go to McDonald's to get them something to eat, because they say they hungry. My grandma was like, well, where they mama at? And I don't know if their mom just worked a lot, or if she wasn't home and maybe was leaving, the kids to watch the kids. Either way, it didn't matter to me. I just know I had to go get them kids something to eat. And I did. She gave me some money. I went and got them something to eat, And that was just one time, when I think back. And my first paid job of dealing with kids came in between my freshman and sophomore year in college. And there was a OBGYN that I worked for. So what happened was, I needed to go on my way to college. I was needing to go do a GYN visit. And my dad had booked the visit because it was crazy. During that time, I had a fear of talking to like adults and grown people, and like handling like administrative business. I just wouldn't do it. If I could not do it, I would kind of pass on it, right? If I had to do it verbally. If I had to write it or whatever, that was nothing, because I was good with that. But just talking to them, I just always respected authority, so I didn't really like to have a back and forth with them. So nevertheless, my daddy booked the GYN appointment. I get to the office, the nicest office I ever had been in. I was like, wow. So I'm looking at everything, because I'm very I pay attention to stuff. I've always done that. So I'm looking, even now I can remember that they had nice huge furniture, like not the little skinny frame furniture, but like huge, big, where you might find at Bears, furniture that goes into like a nice big house or something like that, like mahogany leather, nice leather, like nice leather, and then nice like picture frames, mirrors. Like the office was just gorgeous, right? So top that off with the fact that it was a Black doctor, so it is Black History Month, so we're doing that. So yeah, found out it was a Black doctor, so I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm talking to him, he's having a conversation with me, and I'm letting him know, I'm getting ready to go to college, and he just says, hey, I'm going to give you a job when you come home for the summer. So I'm like, okay, but I don't know him and he don't know me, so I'm not holding him to that, So anyways, get ready to do my GYN exam, and my cycle comes on. So can't do it, and I have to come back in the summer, right? So when I come back, he says, I dare not would have reminded him of that. So he remembered, and he said, come in my office and talk to me, before you leave. So I'm like, okay, like, because I wouldn't dare have reminded him, hey, sir, you remember you said you was going to give me a job? There's no way I would have said that, right? So we talking, and he's saying, he want me to work at the office, basically front desk, and I'm like, okay, I can do that. I had did that, as a temp job before, so I could do that. So started doing that. My dad was taking me to work every day and picking me up, so that was fine. So fast forward a little bit, in the summertime, they end up hiring someone, a recent grad from UCF, to like do it permanently, right? So I'm like, okay, well, this test came to an end, So then he said, well, hey, I got another job for you. So I'm like, okay, well, what? So he said, I want you to keep my kids. And I'm like, okay, sure. In my mind. So when I tell my dad that, he like, yeah, no, you ain't going to his house. You ain't going to his house to do nothing. I'm like, what? So that just show you the naivete of a young person, because how I'm thinking and how my dad is thinking is totally different. Yes, I am an adult at this point, but he ain't having that, right? So I'm telling him like, no, it's good. Like, I know that the guy had never, I had no reason to not want to go to his house, so I was a pretty good judge of character in that sense. So I felt safe by, wanting to go. So my dad like, yeah, no, I have to meet him. So I didn't tell him my daddy said no. I told him my daddy said he needed to meet him, right? So he was like, yeah, that's fine, of course. So we go out to his house, and he lives in an area called Heathrow. At that time, he lived in Heathrow. So if you're in the Orange County, Sumner County area, you understand what Heathrow is, what it represents. It's an affluent area in Sumner County. So get there, and I'm like, I'm blown away. My mind is like, wow, they actually have someone at this gate, and they have to call and make sure you're supposed to be coming. You get inside the gate, I see houses bigger than I ever seen at that time in my life, so I'm like, wow. So I didn't even know who I was working for. Like, he have money, okay. Now, I'm saying that now, but of course I didn't think, oh, he had money. I'm just thinking like, oh, he's rich back then, right? Anyway, get to the house. Him and my dad have a great conversation. I meet the kids, I meet the wife, and I'm like, okay, wow, I can do this. Look, who can't come work in this house every day? Yeah. So what happened is he was a GYN, and his wife was going to school for sonography. So she was taking some classes in the summer, and they needed me to watch the kids while they're in the class. I'm like, okay, cool, I can do that. So the problem was, I live in Orange County, Heathrow was in Sumner County. How was I going to get there? Because city bus was definitely out of the question. So he said, listen, don't worry about that. I'm going to let you hold one of my cars. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I was like, do my dad need to pick me up on Friday? So he was like, no. So I'm like, oh, I could have it for the weekend. Oh, so instantly I'm already thinking, oh, I'm definitely going out. I'm definitely like, so especially once he said, I want you to be comfortable. Don't worry about any accidents. And oh my goodness, listen, let me tell you something. You ain't got to tell me twice. Listen, I was all at Heroes. I was all across town looking for Pee Wee. Listen, I was everywhere I wanted to be, in Tangelo, everywhere. You hear me? Oh my good, that was the best thing ever. I don't even think 745s was out then. I think that car was either like a 740, 730, it was something like that, but it was like the high end BMW at that time, right? Ooh, white peanut butter guts, like yes, loved it. So yeah, excuse me, my sinus. But yeah, so I'm keeping the kids. Everything's everything. It was a great experience. He paid me the same amount and let me hold it, you know, until the end of her classes or whatever. Basically, you know, for the whole summer, I had the job. So it was a wonderful experience. So then let me see. A couple years after that, I got another paid position of keeping kids. Now this, you know, was actually, I was like house sitting and babysitting. Her kids were in like middle school. One was in middle school, one was in high school. And I was staying at her house, and I did that a couple times. Now fast forward, I know them kids end up telling their mama that, you know our babysitter used to have company over here, and you know she used to be going out and this, you know. So yeah, I was a young person, and I still wanted to have a life too, but I knew I had to take care of the kids or whatever. So I made sure they were straight. They're gonna eat every night. They're gonna be in bed. They're gonna go to school. I took care of all that, but I still worked in a little social life into that as well. I did. And she was paying me for it. So hey, it was like that was my house for those weeks that I was watching them kids. I took full advantage of that. I loved every minute of it. So I say that to say, like, you know, it's things that you were doing earlier on in your life, especially if you are an adult and you're at the point where you're not sure what you want to do in life, or you're getting ready to have a career change, or you want to do something different. I say tap into the things that you naturally do well. You know, I was like a homemaker at a young age. And I say that because when my parents got a divorce, I was probably like around 12. My daddy couldn't cook, and he was of the impression like that, you know, girls cook and clean, right? So I always had to, you know, do some type of chores, but I didn't really know how to cook because my mama always cooked, you know? So I had to learn how to cook, and I did. So I took on like the duty of, you know, now my daddy rewarded me now, because that joker, I had allowances. I could, you know, it ain't like he just had me slaving or nothing. No, that was not the case, you know, but it was things that I had to do. And guess what? I appreciate now that I had to do those things, you know, because now my house gonna be clean. I could cook you a decent meal. Like, I know how to home make. I know how to make a home, right? So I appreciate having to learn that at an early age. But having to learn that, it's just, you know, you took on those responsibilities. Then when my little sister came to live with us, you know, now it's like having mommy do this. I got to make sure she's straight with this, with that. You know, I got to pick her up from school, you know, just different things. I just had those type of responsibilities. So, you know, keeping kids and being involved with kids, it comes second nature to me. But even, you know, it just was something that was in me to do anyways, right? So I always did it. Now fast forward, almost every job I get is dealing with children and families, right? And I have said a few times, like, I'm tired of dealing with kids, you know, and I'm tired, you know, but guess what? If that is what God has had for you to do, if that is something that he's put, you know, he keeps opening doors for you in that arena, then you walk through them doors happily, gladly, proudly, because that is how he's making a way for you to not only get your regular paycheck, but he's making a way for me to get a little money here, a little money there. Listen, every which way I'm turning, multiple strands of income coming. From what? From me dealing with children, dealing with families, making sure they're straight. One thing I'm going to do is make sure them kids straight. You know, and I have a special affinity for that, being a person who was, being a child who was molested at a young age, like making sure the kids are good. That's a thing for me. You know, like you just have to treat these kids right. You know, that's something that is near and dear to my heart, you know. And like I said, when I was younger, I didn't want children, partially because of, you know, having experienced some things that I experienced as a child, then having to take on the responsibility of caretaking and stuff at a young age. I was like, shoot, I already done did motherhood in my mind, you know. So I didn't want to physically have kids for a while. You know, I thought about it, maybe I have one kid or whatever. But it wasn't until I got in college and I met a person that I felt like, you know what, I would like to have a family with this person, and I wanted to be married. Now, I think even then I wanted to be married more than I wanted to have a child, but I would have did the child, you know. So, like I said, you know, later on came the desire for the family and you know, the whole thing or whatever. But up until this day, I don't have any children physically. I have been pregnant. I got pregnant when I was in high school, my senior year. I got pregnant from my boyfriend, and like I said, I didn't want children at that time. So he was in the streets and I was getting ready to go to college. So I was just like, you know, I just told him I wasn't having the baby. You know, I didn't give him an option or give him any say so in that. And, you know, I look back at it and I'm like, yeah, things should have been done different. I would not tell anyone to go and do that. I would say you have to make the decision that's best for you at the time. But me having the wisdom that I have now, I understand that sometimes you can't just go off of how things look in the present, right? Because you don't know what the future holds. Because had I known that I later would have a problem getting pregnant due to fibroids, then perhaps I would have done something different. But I don't know, because what I do know is that at that time, I did not want children. So maybe I would have done things different, but maybe I wouldn't, because I didn't want children. I just only wanted to go to college. I wanted to live my life. I had already had the responsibility of children and family. You know, I had a little sister, then my mama ended up having a brother, having a son, and I had, you know, help with him. So it's like, for me, I was ready to get away from that responsibility. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to get more of it. So I made the choice that I made at that time. And, you know, it was things that happened in life that made me feel like, yeah, you made the right decision. Because, okay, let me see, a year or two after I was pregnant, he ended up going to the feds, and he stayed for a while, you know, et cetera, so forth. Which I need to get my book so y'all could read, you know, about that type of stuff. A little plug, Sweeter Than Pineapples. It's on Amazon. Go ahead, get it. Let me know you want it, and I'll get it to you. But anyways, I said that just to circle back and say, you know, pay attention to what your kids have going on at an early age, what they gravitate to, what their strengths are. Because even though I wasn't necessarily saying I wanted a career that dealt with children and family, that was a strong point for me. I knew how to do it, you know. So because it comes so easy to you, it doesn't necessarily feel like work when you're doing it. You know, it's second nature. You do it, it's second nature to you, you know. So yeah, I'm waiting for the children and the other respite team to come so we can start our day with the kids. We're going to Chuck E. Cheese and to the movies. So that's what the Saturday look like. So I ain't mad to get paid to do that today. Not mad at all. So yeah, hit the like button, subscribe if you like. If you have any questions, you know, give me some comments or ask me some questions in the comments, or just leave a comment. Besides that, enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, be safe, get you some money too.